Muzz is an Australian player who has used his Fortnite talents to travel across the world and prove that Oceanic players can compete on the biggest stage. But this journey wasn't an easy road for Muzz, so let's take a look at how Muzz has defined himself as a multi-continental FNCS champion. Muzz started to play Fortnite casually with his friends and did this for a couple of years until right before the World Cup, when Muzz started to play the game competitively, and although his performances at this time were nowhere near a pro level, they showed some promise for what was to come. When the World Cup qualifiers were announced, Muzz was ready to compete and made $200 in the first week of qualifications, but this wasn't even close to qualifying Muzz to the World Cup, and even worse was that this was his best placement in the World Cup qualifiers, with Muzz only making $200 more, placing 67th in week 5. Although Muzz showed some promise in his placements, he had one major problem.
Players that I see trying to grow and trying to become pros, he still goes to school. His parents weren't supportive of him gaming at all.
This stopped Muzz from playing in Trios FNCS, but he was able to pull out a couple solid solo cash cup performances in Season 10. In Season 1, Muzz was able to play the FNCS again, but because of his lack of recent placements, he wasn't able to find a good squad, and he underperformed in this FNCS, but in solos, he dominated, coming 3rd, and then back-to-back 5ths, winning him $3,500 in the process. Unfortunately, when the Winter Royale came around, Muzz wasn't able to perform on days 1 and 2, but brought it back with a strong 31st on day 3. After Winter Royale, Muzz needed to look for new teammates, and through his solo cash cup placements, he found Speedy, a player who had made the previous season's FNCS Grand Finals. Going into duos, his team was looking strong, placing 17th in the warm-up and 4th in the first week. After these two performances, they struggled a little bit more, coming 43rd, 18th, and 26th. This team was looking strong, though, going into heats, but unfortunately they came up short, only placing 29th. But shortly after Duos FNCS, Epic Games announced the Solo Invitational, but Muzz still needed to qualify for it, as he had not made a Grand Finals up to this point. Starting in the Open qualifiers, Muzz came 23rd, and going into the semifinals, Muzz placed 22nd in week 1 and 60th in week 2. When the finals came around, Muzz dominated, coming 3rd, winning $7,000. This was the first large chunk of earnings for Muzz, and also the first time his dad was okay with his gaming. Shortly after this dominant performance in the Invitational, Muzz was ready to dominate the solo FNCS, which started off with him placing 3rd in week 1, 11th in week 2, 6th in week 3, and 12th in week 4. Muzz made it easily to heats and dominated his heat, winning it, and when it came to Grand Finals, Muzz didn't have as dominant of a performance as the Invitational, but he still came 8th, winning $1,600 in the process. But with true FNCS around the corner, Muzz would need to find some teammates and found his old duo Speedy and added on Radius. This team did well, getting to heats and winning their heat, but this trio came up short in the Grand Finals, placing 10th and winning just $700. Muzz knew that he needed to make a change, and that came by dropping Radius and adding on Looter into the team. This team dominated, winning 2 days of the Frosty Frenzy and coming top 3 in countless cash cups. Starting in Qualifier 1, this team came 4th, auto-qualifying themselves straight to the Grand Finals. Once in the Grand Finals, this team dominated, winning the Grand Finals and qualifying themselves straight to the Season 6 Grand Final. Season 6 came along with some more Cash Cup domination, but the only thing that mattered was the Grand Finals, and when the Grand Finals came around, they were ready to dominate.
Check one. Get a wall. Box. Dead. Nice, top 2, bro.
After this performance, Speedy, Looter, and Muzz won back-to-back FNCSs on OCE, but a bigger announcement was just about to happen.
They put on a show.
We've come to love them and admire them for all they've achieved here. But now, it's time for a new challenge. North America East, get ready.
Speedy, Looter, and Muzz are officially moving to North America to try and compete with the best of the best. Speedy and Looter got to Virginia with no issues, but Muzz had a COVID scare, and that held him back from going to North America for a few weeks, and everyone was nervous that Muzz might not be able to come to America at all. Luckily for Muzz, everything from here went smoothly, and he arrived in America, but his struggles had only just begun. Playing with Speedy and Looter on NA East, this trio placed 58th in the first trio Cash Cup they played, and placed 13th in a DreamHack Extra in the next week, making their first money in North America. Following this, Muzz placed 6th place in a solo Cash Cup, and the FNCS qualifiers were about to start. Unfortunately, Muzz missed out on the finals in the first 2 weeks, but with an 8th place finish in week 3, this team was poised to make a great run in heats, but with heats, this turned into a disaster, with this OCE trio coming 18th, failing to even make the reboot round. After this season, Muzz planned on sticking with Speedy and Looter, but because of a fake looking for trio tweet, Muzz got the opportunity of a lifetime. Muzz was offered to play with Booga and Miro, and Muzz ran with it, and it was an amazing decision, with Muzz making Grand Finals in the first week of the qualifiers, placing 4th. In the Grand Finals, this team dominated out of Misty Meadows and won the FNCS and made $50,000 in the process. Everything was looking amazing for Muzz, but then disaster struck as he got dropped by Booga and Miro, and Muzz had to look for a teammate just a week after winning the Grand Finals. Muzz went with his best options of Joji and Rokane and made the Grand Royale Finals, but came well short of the title, coming 20th. As Grand Royale ended, it was time for new things, and that's what we got with Chapter 3 and the announcement of a Duos FNCS. For this Duos FNCS, Muzz picked up Avery and quickly made it back to the Grand Finals, but did awful, placing a measly 42nd. Muzz decided to give Avery another chance though, and in Season 2 Grand Finals, Muzz came a much more respectable 8th place, winning $9,000. Finally, in this season, Muzz decided to switch it up, playing with Playify. This team made heats and qualified in Heat 1 off of consistency. In the grand finals, Muzz underperformed, placing 33rd, winning just $1,500. This has been Muzz's journey so far, and it has been awesome to watch, as Muzz has been able to prove that OCE can compete against the largest regions and that Fortnite can be used to create a positive impact on many people's lives.